I'd like to bring to order this June 26th meeting of the Tippecanoe County Technical Transportation Committee. Our first order of business is approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. And I will entertain a motion for that, the May 15th meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes as submitted.
Your motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. If there's no discussion, I'll proceed with the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
That is unanimous. So the minutes have been approved. Next item on the agenda is access permits. We have an NDOT representative?
Thank you.
Yep.
I just have a few updates from last month. State Road 28, Minor Commercial Drive, about 3,200 feet west of the US 231 intersection. We're still waiting on some design revisions for that, before that can be approved. State Road 38, Minor Commercial, west of Creasy Lane. Plans are acceptable. We're waiting on the consultant consent and a bond, and then the permit can be approved. State Road 38, miscellaneous permit, east of Maple Point Drive. The approaches to State Road 38 from Subaru and the signal revisions have been submitted to NDOT. We had asked for some revisions to that. The permit is almost approved, but we still need a bond. And lastly, US 52 major road approach at County Road 450 South. District Traffic has requested an addendum to the approved alignment permit. The addendum will add a temporary signal. District Traffic will need to review the signal plan set once we have those available.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay. There appearing to be none. We'll move on to the APC progress report. We've got a number of items under that, a number of people speaking. Beginning with the MPO update, I believe the first item is the 5-year crash report. Aria? And she'll be followed by the Safe Streets and Roads for All item by Tim.
Okay, so the 5-year crash report is a document that we write frequently in our office on crashes in the county. This year we did 5 years instead of a single year. Gives us kind of a more comprehensive overview, better look at trends, and is overall just a more comprehensive document than ones we've done before. So I don't know, Tim, if you can pull it up on yours, at least to show our committee here. But the document's available on our website, tippecanoe.gov, on the APC section under crashes. And it's a very large document, so I'm not going to go through everything in it. It's almost 100 pages. But basically it covers all crashes. It covers fatality crashes, injury crashes, motorcycles, deer and animals, vulnerable road users. It touches on the high injury network and also has some supplemental information about alcohol and drug crashes, individuals, vehicles, and some contextual information about demographics, precipitation and climate, inflation, vehicle ages, what's been going on in the community with school year and COVID, all sorts of extra stuff. For those that don't want to go through the whole document, there's an executive summary at the start that's pretty handy. And I'll just mention, I guess, briefly a couple things from that here. So overall, our injury crash rate among crashes was 18% across the whole county, and our fatality crash rate was 0.2%. Other information here. Intersections are a popular location for crashes, or common rather. 71% of crashes occurred within 250 feet of an intersection. And the intersections with the highest crash volumes were Creasy Lane and South Street with 291, South River Road and Tapawingo Drive 282, State Street and Tapawingo Drive 230, I-65 and State Road 43 211, and Sagamore Parkway and Salisbury Street at 161. And there's more information about those in the report as well. Some of these, for example, the Tapwingo Drive and South River Road intersection, that one is like the number 2 in terms of volume, but in terms of injury crashes is one of the lowest in the county. It's like 4% compared to the average of 18%. It's very low with the roundabout there, very safe in terms of crash severity. So other information here, I think the one that was most interesting to me was some analysis I did on people getting into crashes across the course of their driving history or transportation history. So, and I'm not a statistician here, so these are rough numbers, but I calculated between the ages of 15 and 85, every single person in Tippecanoe County who uses our network has a 92% cumulative chance of being involved in at least one crash. And their cumulative chance of getting into an injury crash is 38%. So, almost 40% of people be in an injury crash once in their lives in our county. So there's a lot we can do, hopefully, to reduce that number. Any questions? The full report, please look at it. It has all the details of stuff, so.
There appear to be no questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Tim?
Okay, so I think that's a pretty good segue into our next item, which is the Safe Streets for All Safety Action Plan. So this is something we've been working on for several months. We hired a consultant to help us get to a plan that will meet the federally approved Safe Streets for All Safety Action Plan standards. And we have just received a final report for that plan, and that report does meet all the required criteria, which will now allow us to submit an application for what they call an implementation grant, which is basically just a safety project. And that will be something that will kind of be our next step, is to determine as a community where we might like to apply for a project, and what we will do about project management and such if we were to receive a grant, and all of those sorts of details. So we will be talking more about that. But first, what we need to do is to get official approval of that from our policy board. So because this just came out, we're going to post it on our website and give about a month or so for review. So at next month's technical committee meeting, we will be asking you for a formal recommendation as to whether or not to approve that plan, or to suggest that the policy board approve that plan, rather. And so I just wanted to let everyone know that it is completed draft. Will be up on our website very soon for your review, and we will be asking for any comments at the next meeting. So are there any questions about that at this time?
Right, thank you, Tim. Next, Doug, you're up to bat. There are a number of items. I'll let you just walk through them without me calling them out, and wrapping it up with the 18-month letting list.
Sure, be more than glad to. Good afternoon, everyone. Following up on the safety theme, as you probably well know, NDOT issued a notice of funding availability. They have, or are giving us, or local government agencies, roughly $50 million in federal funds for these safety projects, what they call programmatic projects. They're fairly simple, straightforward, and easy. Basically, we have done these in the past. For example, the towns of Battleground and Dayton, we have replaced all of their signs within the town. The county has done a similar project with signage, so they're fairly quick, simple, but when you talk about federal aid projects, they're not. Because again, just like every other federal aid project, specifically road projects, you need to do the engineering, need to do the environmental, and then it goes through the NDOT bidding process. You'll have to have construction inspection. So there is a little more to it than basically what they call a CCMG project. NDOT has the letter that we have in the packet, and there are some things that need to be done with it. One is actually putting together the two-page short form. We have done these in the past for all of these projects, and if you would like to pursue any of these, we would be more than glad to put them together. So the deadline to submit these, it opens September 3rd and closes October 11th. So we do have a bit of time. Clarks Hill is looking at actually doing this and replacing all of their signs. And if there is any interest, we would be more than glad to help put those, the information together to submit those. So just please get a hold of either Tim or myself. Going on to the next item. Boy, this is so weird without the, on the screen. Yes, Stu.
I just had a question about that. I haven't gotten too deep into it. Is this going to be like regular NOFA where we might do several applications, prioritize 1, 2, 3 to secure funds?
Well, for this one, it's our understanding that we, either as the MPO or as the county, do not have to prioritize these. We can submit them all at once or individually, that it will be NDOT that actually reviews the applications, and then if they appear to be good and eligible, they will hopefully award it. So there won't be any actually, prioritization like we do with TIP projects. Does that make sense?
Kind of, but if they have the 50 million, they're packeting it out.
Mm-hmm.
Usually we'll do like, we might do a sign application, a friction curve application, blah, 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 to hope to get as many as you can, rather than lumping it all into a $5 million application. I'm just wondering if that's the way that'll run again, where we'll want to have pieces that they could.
It's my understanding that you could put these like individual projects together instead of lumping them as one big one. I mean, if you'd like to do that, I mean, the guidance for this is still vague. But if you would like to just lump them all together, that's possible, or submit them as just individual projects, that's possible as well. At least that's my understanding. I mean, personally, I'd like to get 10, 20 million out of this whole thing, take most of the money.
Just, when you shoot for the moon, then you get knocked out if you don't have at least something that they can give you, is the way those on other applications have worked. That's why I was asking how many, but you don't think there'll be a prioritization?
I don't think so. I think people are going to apply, but then I can imagine that when they read through them, they're not going to have a good understanding that this is a full federal aid project, and a number of them will drop out because of all the additional work that's needed. But in our case, we've pretty much been through the process, know what it is, know what to expect, and I think we could all put together applications that, can hit the targets, because they're looking at implementing these in 2 years, which for a federal aid project, I mean, this is lightning speed. Any other questions? Yes.
Do we have a short list of projects you think would be low-hanging fruit, good recommendations? Do we need to come up with that individually, collectively?
Well, we have a two-page list from NDOT that explains what projects are eligible. I mean, one that I would dream of that hopefully would happen is that we're nearing the conclusion of completing the South Street road safety audit, and one issue was street lighting. Street lighting is eligible for these funds, so I have my fingers and toes crossed that Jeremy, hint, hint, would apply for these funds for street lighting. Hint,
Well,
hint, hint.
Well, I know whatever partnership may be needed, City Bus is definitely interested in partnering, helping anything, pedestrian infrastructure, bus pull-offs, any of that stuff. I know that's something we're open to. So if it's collaboration, we're on board.
Great, thank you. Anything else regarding that? Okay, well, I'll go on. The next thing I have is kind of scary, and that we're actually starting to talk with this in terms of developing the next Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP. NDOT Central Office did send out their time schedule, and it is in the packet. And they are, again, aggressively wanting to get it done fairly quickly, which basically puts our timetable as it was for developing the past two TIPs. The plan is to distribute or send out our call for projects on October 9th, and then have those returned by December 6th. And then we will put the requests together, and then at the January 15th Technical Transportation Committee, we will review all of those requests and allocate our federal funds. And then after that, having a fairly quick turnaround, in a little over a month, have the draft document complete. So we're shooting for a May 9th adoption by the policy board. So again, this is a fairly quick process that NDOT wants to follow. If you have any questions, I'd be more than glad to answer those. Basically, it's the same as what we've used in the past couple TIP developments. A couple things is that when we look at the larger road projects, if you could think of safety components as well, that would be great. Because if we include those safety components, we can ask for permission to use safety funds for them. And when we come down to construction, we can actually tap into our safety funds for those. So, any questions or comments? Okay, going on. The next thing we have, and would you like to give me to give the 2055 MTP update, Tim? Okay. Well, I'm going to combine this one and the traffic modeling socioeconomic data. Is that, yes, it seems like it's been only a few years ago when we adopted the 2050 transportation plan, but the effort takes a few years to actually put together. And with this plan update, we are putting together a new traffic model. And one of the initial steps in putting that together is first looking at our base year socioeconomic data. We have put together a number of different components for that. For the base year, we're looking at population, total population, group quarter population, household population, total number of dwelling units, number of occupied dwelling units, number of vacant dwelling units, and then total number of vehicles. And we are putting this information down to actually the census block level. And then that will be converted to traffic zones. So we've already produced this data in by census block, and the base year we are going for is 2022. And that's because NDOT during that year actually went through and did our coverage counts. We are currently actually working on the employment data, and we are fortunate enough that NDOT did purchase the data from Data Axle, which was Info Group, which we've used their information before for previous plan updates. And we are quality controlling that data, and hopefully within a month we'll have that done and then be able to give you a full listing showing you pictures, nice colored graphics of where our employment, population, and housing is located. And then once that's done, we will then proceed to move forward with the modeling effort and actually develop a computerized traffic model that simulates what was happening in 2022. And then on the other side, for the plan itself, we will then start working on the actual projections for households, for population, for employment. So We will be bringing that information before you and asking for your help in developing that. So again, we are on the very beginning of actually updating the transportation plan. The next one we have is the monthly obligation report. And as reported last time, we have allocated all of our federal funds that we had initially in the TIP for fiscal year 2024. That leaves us the new additional funds that we received when NDOT went from the draft funding amount to the final amount, and that was a little over $700,000. A portion of it went to City Bus, and the good news is that we have actually requested and NDOT has submitted that transfer, so we have obligated those funds. And then we are in the process and actually processed the paperwork for the funds for the Soldiers Home Road project. Actually did that this morning, and then when I get back from vacation, we'll work on the South 9th Street project. So I'm hoping to have all of these funds obligated sometime in July, so next month we can report some good news and not have to worry about these funds sitting there and possibly losing them. Questions or comments? And then, of course, the last item is the 18-month letting list, and nothing really new to report. As you can see, the list is fairly short, 14 projects. The only project that there was a change was the last one, and it went from an August letting to an October letting. But otherwise, everything's on track. Have in October of this year, on 26th, the McCarty Lane and new traffic signal. And then in November, we have a significant list, including the truss reconstruction repair on 225. Then we have the bridge on Old 231, 527, and then Phase 2 of Morehouse Road. Questions or comments? Great. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Doug. Moving on to other business, we have an item there that involves the rescheduling of one of our future meetings. Tim, you'd like to talk about that?
Yes. So this is for the October meeting. So typically, of course, we meet on the third Wednesday of the month, but it happens that this year that will conflict with the annual MPO conference. So we will not be in town. We'll be in Indianapolis for that conference. So we would like to move that from our typical date of the 16th. We are suggesting moving it up a week to the 9th. So just wanted to kind of put that out there in front of the committee. Does that seem like that would work for people's schedules? We do, have a little bit of time, so we don't necessarily have to 100% decide today, but we would like to kind of get it on people's calendars so that we can, kind of hold that date, if that seems like that would work. Okay, so it sounds like that'll work. So we will go ahead and kind of do the same thing then that we did with this meeting, where we will send out, a calendar invite and some additional email reminders, since we're moving it outside of our normal time frame. All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. The next item on the agenda is a space that we make for citizen comments, if there are any. There appear to be none, so then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Do I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I think there are any opposed? I declare this meeting adjourned. The next meeting will be July 17th. Thank you.